When we talk about leadership, we usually get stuck on things like personality or who has the big title, right? But today, we're going to flip that script. We're looking at leadership through a totally different lens, one that starts not with a person, but with a moment. The exact moment when everyone in the room looks to see what's next.
So, let's start with a situation I think we've all been in. You're in a meeting, someone points out a mistake, and silence. The air just gets thick, and everyone's eyes are kind of darting around, waiting. You can feel the tension.
On the surface, it seems like nothing, right? The meeting just kept going. But underneath, oh, something huge just happened. In that little moment of silence, a boundary was set. A line was drawn between problems we talk about and problems we just bury. And that teaches everyone a lesson, a really powerful one, without a single official decision being made. And that is the moment we're talking about. It's the real starting point. Leadership doesn't begin with a new job title or a corner office. It begins in those quiet, uncertain spaces where we all look around and wonder, okay, what do we do now? This leads us to the super simple but really powerful definition. I love this because it just cuts through all the noise. A leader is simply the person others look to for cues. It's not a role you're assigned, it's a state you enter the second that attention lands on you. It can happen to literally anyone at any time. And here's the kicker. As soon as you become that focal point, nothing you do is private anymore. Suddenly, everything you do, every little thing, is basically a lesson for everyone else. The speed you work at teaches them what the pace should be. Your silence on a tough topic, well, that teaches them where the boundaries are. So this whole thing, it's not random at all. It actually follows a pretty clear path. It all starts when attention gathers on someone. That attention creates influence. And when that influence is repeated over and over, it builds a structure. From there, that structure either starts to renew itself or it begins to decay. And this is where things get really interesting. It leads to a fork in the road, really. Once a leader emerges and a structure forms, that group is heading down one of two paths. There's no in between. It's either moving toward vitality or it's sliding into decay. Now, it's really important to get this. We're not talking about good leaders or bad leaders here. This isn't a moral judgment. It's a structural description. A group has vitality if it can actually listen to feedback and change course when it's wrong. It's in decay when it shields itself from reality, when it becomes allergic to correction. Okay, so we can actually break this down even further into four basic states. You just have to look at two things. Can the group grow or scale, and can it adjust when things go wrong? So a vital group, it can do both. But look at a brittle group. It might be growing like crazy, but it can't adjust. It's like a glass skyscraper. Looks impressive, but one good shock and the whole thing could shatter. And this is such a key insight. Decay is sneaky. It doesn't start with a big dramatic collapse. No, it starts small. It starts the moment it becomes easier or safer to just stay quiet than to speak an uncomfortable truth. The moment telling the truth starts to have a personal cost. So you might be asking yourself, if these patterns are so obvious, why do we get fooled all the time, right? Why do we cheer for leaders of those brittle, fragile organizations, sometimes right up until the moment they completely fall apart? Well, it turns out we're kind of hardwired to fall for two big mental traps. These two distortions constantly fool us when we're trying to figure out who's a good leader and who isn't. Okay, first up, we are just obsessed with results, totally fixated on them. If a decision leads to a big win, we call the leader a genius. We don't stop to ask if they just got lucky or if that win was built on a foundation that's about to crumble. We just see the good outcome and applaud. And the second trap? We pay way too much attention to what leaders say instead of looking at what their systems actually do. A leader can give these amazing speeches about transparency and accountability, but if their system quietly punishes anyone who brings up bad news, well, that's the real story, isn't it? Okay, so how do we fight back against these biases? How do we see what's really going on? We need a better toolkit. We need a way to look past the story and see the actual structure underneath. And this is where the source material gives us four really simple but super powerful tests. These are designed to shift your focus away from what people are saying and onto the patterns you can actually see. Let's try one out. All right, let's look at an example. And I bet this one's going to sound really familiar to a lot of you. It's the end of the quarter. There's a known bug in the product, but the pressure from above is massive. And the director makes the call. Ship it. We'll deal with it later. Okay, so let's use one of our new tools, the harm test. It's a dead simple question. Who paid the price for that decision? When that flawed product went out the door, who actually felt the pain?
See what happened? The person who made the call, they didn't pay the price. The harm was displaced. It was pushed outward onto the customers who now have a buggy product, and it was pushed downward onto the support teams who have to clean up the mess. And that right there is a textbook sign of a structure in decay. And this is what brings it all back to us. Because we're not just watching this happen from the sidelines. Whether we realize it or not, we are all active players in building these structures every single day. Because at the end of the day, leadership isn't some grand thing reserved for CEOs and presidents. It's happening in every team meeting, in every group chat, in every family dinner. It happens anytime you become the one people look to, or anytime you choose who you're going to look to. So if leadership really does begin with attention, then the big question for all of us isn't just about who we follow. It's about what we're building with our own attention. So the next time you're in one of those rooms and it gets quiet after a mistake, what kind of structure are you going to help build? Thanks for watching.